Update. Oh, here we go, boys. Here, let me try to put something in the background there. Add source. Come that way. Sorry, I just want to make sure there's something in the background so it's just not all like that. Pictures. Ah yes, to show my culture. Why is it there, you may ask? Because I wanted to. I made it. I thought it was funny. Yeah, darn it. As much as I would like to, that kind of lines up very weird through the screen. But you know what? We're gonna go with it, because why not? I've wasted enough time as it is. Here we go. Here we go now. Let's get together. Alrighty. Perfect. Perfect amount of viewers. 0. It is the master number. Alrighty. So the Invisible Man. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we all know this one, at least by name. Now, one might think that the Invisible Man is pretty predictable, based on the title alone. But like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, although it's widely recognized, I don't think people always understand, that he's kind of a little more than the Invisible Man. I know, and there's some interesting adaptations more recently of the Invisible Man trope. But the Invisible Man follows the events, starting with the arrival of a mysterious stranger in the small town of Iping. Now, the Iping residents are already kind of off-put by this dude because he's completely wrapped up in bandages. You can't see his face, his eyes are covered with goggles, only his nose sticks out, and it is absurdly pink. So, all he asks is for a room, board, and no one ever sees him eat. So, in other points, what happens is a dog, sees him and is immediately aggressive towards him, even tearing off his pant leg, which, people can see there's nothing underneath, or that, the dog must have made a big gash. At another time, someone happens to catch him off guard as he's eating, and notices that there's a big, gape in it where his mouth would be. And they assume that he's actually had a terrible accident, disfiguring his face. But throughout the whole book, he does, even in the beginning, he shows a very displeasant manner of talking. He's very condescending, very, just rude to anyone, and self-absorbed as well. Now, during the events in Iping, a couple is, woken in the middle of the night and notice that they have been robbed, and have seen no trace of the guy leaving, even though they thought he was still in the house and even heard him leave. Immediately, they are distrustful of the stranger, asking him where he was last night, where he got the cash. Because just that day, it happened that he paid off his, debt that was long-standing. Now, I will not go into the entire state of the book, However, do know that I would like to move into the other section because I would like to leave some things to the reader to find out should they choose to read the book, because there's a lot of interesting stuff at the end, especially the very end. So, now the perspective of the book is always from everyone but the Invisible Man. Even when he is giving his backstory, it's given to a doctor, it's given to a doctor that is, observing him tell the story. So it's, him telling us because he was told, as he's being told. So it gets, into, kind of, I wouldn't say convoluted, it's just very complex way of telling a story. And part of it's meant to symbolize, how the people all around him kind of are bumbling, while he's the one, who knows how to outsmart them. But for context, there are two kind of, two kinds of scientists in the H.G. Wells novel. In H.G. Wells novel in general, there are people who take something too far, and then there are scientists who are kind of idiot owls. Now, obviously, that might not always be the case. However, that's just how, H.G. Wells, the novelist, viewed scientists. In any case, I would like to add kind of a new segment to this, kind of review, and I want to go over archetypes. Now, an outside evil is, a common archetype in a lot of novels, literature, horror, and most things. It's the view that when something bad starts happening, it is most likely the person who came from outside. When in reality, sometimes we know that's very false. However, in the case of this, it is correct. The Invisible Man is evil. However, you get movies. I'm remembering something. It was on the Dead Meat channel. I can't remember what the name was, or maybe it was Dead Meat. But in any case, you assume that it's got to be some foreigner, or at least we used to, thankfully. Some foreigner, some person out of the norm. When in reality, the evil could be one of the people we call friends, father, son, anything. Now, again, on the mad scientist. Now, a mad scientist trope is done in many ways. There are ones like Frankenstein who did go too far, but regret it entirely. Or there are people like Jack Griffin, aka the Invisible Man, who go too far and don't really care too much. All they want to do is fix it so they can redo it. Now, on the basis of how he turned himself invisible, I think it's at least plausible. But, spoiler, I guess, warning here, the way he turned himself invisible was that he basically made the pigments in his body translucent. Not giving him complete invisibility. If he eats something, you could see it. But allowing himself to be, for the most part, invisible. Okay. I have it all written down, too. It's very organized for me. Right. Oh, yes. I already said that. Now, other, mad scientists, might include, again, Frankenstein from Mary Shelley's novel, which was way earlier than this. I didn't even know that. There was, I think it was 19 or 18, really. There was, Dr. Moreau from The Island of Dr. Moreau. Though I think that one might be a gore warning if I cover that one. It's not a pleasant one. Or something as classic as, Herbert West from Reanimator. Now, another, kind of trope, or rather, theme in this book is man on the run. Now, throughout the book, wherever he goes, he kind of causes trouble and has to run from the police. Now, granted, the only big, consequences we ever see of this is in Iping. However, as he slowly delves into insanity, he ends up attracting the attention of the police, thus, putting out a wide manhunt for him. Now, through this all, that's when we start getting his backstory, is in that part of the book. But and that's part of the thing I think makes the book interesting, is they're not hunting a person they can see. They're hunting someone exactly who they can't see. Now, granted, in the movie they had some interesting ways to deal with this, and in the book they had other ways. But it's a little different from the Firestarter, where they could track somebody. Granted, it's two different time periods, but also, you could see them. You could find out where people are based on sightings, stuff like that. Okay. Another little thing I'd like to introduce. This is kind of a weird rating system. I'm testing it out. Now, for those of you who don't know, a CT machine is a kind of imaging machine that is used to look at different sections of the body, split. So I've had the experience of being under one, and it's sometimes it could measure the amount of hemorrhaging. So my book review is, or at least rating, is based on hemorrhaging of the brain. Fun. So I have it kind of in like a coordinate plane sort of thing, because I think that was most fitting. So it's dead, worth it, but worth it. Dead, but not worth it. Dead, not dead, worth it. And dead, or not dead, not worth it. Now, I think the two at the top, dead, worth it, dead, not dead, not worth it. I don't know, I think both of them are kind of fun in their equally own right. Now, obviously, something I could just say right now is Beowulf, dead but worth it. That's just without saying. I would say this is kind of, not dead but worth it, just because it's one of those classical stories. It's the one that built movies, and even inspired some modern adaptations. And it's kind of one of those cornerstones, even though you might not, agree with Wells himself and how he views the world, or how he chooses to depict the world through his stories. But I don't know, it's an enjoyable one, if a rather long book about the descent of a scientist into madness. Alright. So, thank you for those who joined in. And if you want to see me review more books, because obviously I would like to do things other than horror, although horror is my favorite. I have another script written out, so hopefully I can get that out, or start live streaming that in the next few days or so. Probably going to be maybe Sunday or Monday, something like that. But yeah, have a fun day. If you have school, I'm sorry for you, and have a good day.